Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Nahw Lesson 13. So just to summarize what we have done before, there are three types of words in Arabic: ismun, fi'lun and harfun. And we have then two sentences that are created with those words. We have the nominal sentence and the verbal sentence. And then it is common that we would find other words or sentences surrounding our particular sentence, and that nouns or sentences would then have a relationship with the core parts or nouns within our sentence. And there are 8 types of relationships. Number 1, al-mudaf wal-mudaf ilayh. Number 2, al-mawsuf wal-sifa. Number 3, al-ma'tuf alayh wal-ma'tuf. Number 4, al-mubdal minhu wal-badal. And those are the ones we have discussed before, and those are the ones that are most common. The other relationships are not that common, and at this stage we will skip the discussion with regards to them. Inshallah, we'll come back to them at a later stage. So what we will do now is we will look at each of the components of doing analysis in more detail as set out via the Arab app that we use. Now we can turn to page 42 of our workbook, and we have looked at all the different types of nouns, and we'll look at each of them in a brief introductory way, so that inshallah we can get an idea of them, and then later on we can discuss them in a more advanced way. So the first one we're discussing is the masdar, the verbal noun or root noun. So the masdar is a noun that has a certain pattern, and each of the 10 families would have a different form of the masdar. On family 1 it is fi'al, and on family 2 it is taf'il. And the verbal noun would give a meaning of the idea of the root. For example, hitting, running, jumping. So that is what we mean by the masdar. So with regards to the masdar, it has a very rare function in that it can sometimes act as a verb if certain conditions are met. This is a very rare instance, and there are only a few examples of it. But since we're discussing masdar now, it is a good time to bring your attention to this. So let's have a look at some examples. أَكْلِهِمْ أَمْوَالَ النَّاسِ بِالْبَاطِلِ. The word akal is a masdar, and the word amwal is a noun. And the word amwal is taking the role of maf'ul bihi. That's why it's in the state of nasb. And the reason why it is maf'ul bihi is because the word akal is acting as a verb over here due to certain conditions. So what those conditions are, we're not going to discuss now. I just wanted to bring to your attention that sometimes the masdar can have this function. Let's have a look at another example. وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضُ. So the word daf'u here is a masdar, and the word an-nas is a noun, and its role is maf'ul bihi in the state of nasb. So the reason why it is maf'ul bihi in the state of nasb is because the word daf', this masdar, is having the function of acting as a verb over here. So the meaning is وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ, if it was not the repelling of Allah an-nas of the people, ba'dahum bi ba'd, some of them over others, lafasadatil ardu, then the earth would have gone into corruption. So technically the word Allah is acting as the fa'il for the verbal noun, which is functioning like a verb over here, and the word an-nas is the maf'ul bihi. So basically the masdar can act as a verb under certain conditions. Those are two examples, and there are certain conditions which must be met before this scenario can exist. The next one is on page 43, and here we're looking at the ismul fa'il, the doer noun or active participle. So the doer noun on family 1 would be fa'il, and on family 2 it would be mufa'ilun. So that is the doer noun. It gives the meaning of someone who is doing the act of the verb. So the doer noun also has a rare function in that it can sometimes act as a verb under certain conditions. If those conditions are met, then it will act as a verb. Here are some examples. Number 1, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. So the word جَاعِلٌ is the ismul fa'il, and it has a pronoun inside of it which will have the role of fa'il, and the word khalifa, that noun, will have the role of maf'ul bihi, and that is why it is in the state of nasb. So the meaning is inni ja'ilun, verily I am a maker, fil ardi, in the earth, khalifatan, of a vicegerent. So the word khalifa is the direct object of the doer noun which is acting as a verb over here. Number 2, فَلَعَلَّكَ تَارِكٌ بَعْدَ مَا يُوحَى إِلَيْكَ وَضَائِقٌ بِهِ صَدْرُكَ. We have two nouns over there. تارك is a ism al-fa'il and ضائق is a ism al-fa'il also. And both of them in this instance are functioning as verbs. So inside of tariq there is a damir mustatir, a hidden pronoun which will say that is the fa'il. And the word ba'da is a noun which will take the role of maf'ul bihi, and that is why it's in the state of nasb. Let's have a look at the word da'iq. So word da'iq is ism fa'il, and the word sadru is in the state of raf. That noun is going to take the role of fa'il. So now we can translate it. فَلَعَلَّكَ تَارِكٌ, perhaps you are leaving بَعْدَ مَا يُوحَى, some of that which has been revealed إِلَيْكَ, to you, وَضَائِكٌ بِهِ صَدْرُكَ, and your chest is becoming restricted bihi, with it. So Tariq and Da'iq, those ismul fa'ils in this instance are having the functions of verbs, and thus we have a maf'ul bihi in the case of Tariq, and we have a fa'il in the case of Da'iq. Number 3, يخرج من بطونها شراب مختلف ألوانه. So in this case the word مختلف here is the ism fa'il. It is the ism fa'il from family 8, and the word alwanu is in the state of raf. That noun will take the role of fa'il, and the meaning is sharabun, a drink, yakhruju, comes out, min butuniya, from its stomach. This drink has the description of being mukhtalifun, it is different, mu'alwanuhu, its colors is different. So let's translate it again. A drink different in colors is coming out from its stomach. Number 4, وَالْكَاذِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. So kadhim is a ism fa'il, and it has that pronoun attached to it that will have the role of fa'il, and al-ghayda, that noun, will take the role of maf'ul bihi, because in this case the ism fa'il is acting as the verb. That's why the word al-ghayda is in the state of nasb, it's the maf'ul bihi. wal-kadhimin al-ghayda, and those who are suppressing their anger, wal-afina 'anil nasi, and they are forgiving 'anil nasi, upon people. Next one on page 44, the passive noun. So the passive noun, ismul maf'ul, is of the form maf'ul on family 1, and on family 2 it is mufa'alun. So the passive noun can act as a passive verb under certain conditions. So there's only one example I could come across in the Quran with regards to this concept. So ذَلِكَ يَوْمٌ مَجْمُوعٌ لَهُ النَّاسُ. The word majmu'un is the ism maf'ul, and the word an-nasu here, that noun is taking the role of na'ib fa'il, because the word majmu' in this circumstance is acting as a verb. So the meaning is ذَلِكَ يَوْمٌ, that is a day, majmu'un, is gathered, lahu, is gathered for it, an-nasu, the people are gathered for it. So just to summarize, the masdar, the ism fa'il, and the ism maf'ul, under certain specific conditions they can act as verbs, and thus we would find in the sentence a fa'il and a maf'ul bihi, even though there's no actual verb in the sentence. So the next one on page 45, the conjunctive noun, al-ismul mawsula or al-asma'ul mawsula, the conjunctive nouns. So they are alladhi, alladhani, alladhina, allati, allatani, allati, allai, man, ma, and ay. So some of those are quite common and you should have come across them already. Let's have a look at some of the examples in usage. أَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِشِمَالِهِ. As for the one who his book is given to him bishimali, in his left hand. Number 2, إِلَّا مَنْ تَابَ وَآمَنَ. Except the one who taba, he forgives, وَآمَنَ, and he believes. فَبِأَيِّ حَدِيثٍ بَعْدَهُ يُؤْمِنُونَ. After which speech will they believe? Number 4, وَيَقْطَعُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلَ. And they are cutting off ma, that which amar Allah, Allah is commanded with it, ayyusala, it should be connected. هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ لَكُم مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا. He is the one who خَلَقَ لَكُم, he created for you, ma fil ardi, what is in the earth, jami'an, all of it. So let's have a look at some of the nouns. The ismul mawsul, the conjunctive noun, is always followed by a sentence referred to as the silatul mawsul. So we have the ismul mawsul in the first example there, man, is followed by that verbal sentence over there. We call it the silatul mawsul. Inside of the silatul mawsul, inside of that sentence, we'll have a pronoun referring back to the ismul mawsul, which in this case is man. and that pronoun will then be called the aid. So utiya, inside of that verb there is a pronoun huwa, and that is referring back to man. So whosoever utiya, he is given his book in his left hand. So the damir mustatir is the aid referring back to man. Let's look at the next example. So man is the ismul mawsula. Taba is a verbal sentence. We call it the silatul mawsul. Inside of taba there's a hidden pronoun which is going to refer back to the ismul mawsul. Okay. Number 3. فبأي حديث بعده يؤمنون. The word أي is the ismul mawsul. And then we have that sentence بعده يؤمنون. And that sentence is the silatul mawsul. Inside of it we have a pronoun which is referring back to أي. That pronoun who is referring back to أي. So for بأي حديث, thus which speech they are believing بعده, after it. Number 4. ويقطعون ما أمر الله به أن يوصل. And they are cutting off that which. So ma is the ismul mawsul. The sentence أمر الله به أن يوصل, we then call that the ismul mawsul. And inside of the passive verb yusala, there is a damir mustatir which is referring back to ma over here. They are cutting off that which Allah has commanded that it should be connected. Number 5. هو الذي خلق لكم. So الذي is the ismul mawsul. خلق لكم ma, that is our verbal sentence. We'll say it is the silatul mawsul. Inside of it there is a hidden pronoun which will then return to الذي. So just to wrap up, the asmaul mawsula are those nouns over there, and whenever we have those nouns or one of those nouns, there will always be a sentence after that noun. Once we have found that sentence, we will term it the silatul mawsul, and within that sentence we will find a pronoun that refers back to the ismul mawsul, the conjunctive noun. So that's today's lesson. Please revise it and complete the exercises on the classroom stream, or do the analysis alternatively of the verses 1 and 2 on page 76 of the workbook. That is Surah Al-Hujurat, which has been added at the end of your book. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.